Okay, so I was interrupted by a phone call and also by dinner. But what I was saying is, and this is on in Menhem's idea that, oh, we're at a different level than quantum physics. My point is, if you take the random emission of a photon and and assume, for the sake of argument, that choice is randomness, in the sense that what's random to me is really something else's choice. Well, the electron doesn't have any reason. I'm not saying the electron has a brain to even process the reason, but even if it did, it has no reason to emit the photon at one time or another. Now, if you look at choices made by humans with no particular reason, then they have a stochastic behavior to them, and that's randomness. On the other hand, when there is a reason, you start to have deviations from the statistical randomness. And if a molecule emits a photon, so that electron is in a molecule, then there is an effect. Biological molecules are big wiggly things with strings of atoms going out here and going out here, and if it fires a photon, that could swing an arm around, it can heat their surrounding area so that some other reaction can take place. Suddenly there is a reason for one choice to be made rather than another. And also at that level, in biological chemicals, where these choices in randomness and or randomness make a difference, you start to see behavior. So at the cellular level, you see groups of molecules being moved around, being grabbed and moved and put together and fed together. You see all sorts of evidence of will. You don't want to call that will, but that's kind of your problem, because I'm happy calling it will. I'm not trying to say that only humans at a certain scale have will. I'm not trying. See, what I see is some of this is just the same old thing of humans trying to say, hey, we're at the end, in the middle of the solar system. Oh, okay, no, but the solar system is the middle of the galaxy. Oh, the universe. No, oh, we're just in a galaxy. Well, the galaxy is the center. Oh, no. Well, please let us be the center of something. Yeah, you're the center of your own ego. That's it. Nothing else. Cells have will. Animals have will. And as far as I'm concerned, in a technical sense, all particles have a will, because they have the ability to make decisions that seem random to me. The decisions might have no real reason, and maybe that's why they follow a random statistical pattern, but they're still made without my ability to predict. And I think this gives a window for will to happen. I think it is will, and we seem to have will. This is a chain of reasoning that would explain it. We can scientifically measure will by putting animals in similar situations and seeing how similar the results are. And always we see a certain amount of conformity and a certain amount of divergence. And the divergence is freedom. Okay? Freedom isn't total freedom. Don't be stuck on an idea of freedom that is totally unfettered. We think that when we define freedom, but we don't really think that when we use freedom. Nobody thinks that their freedom means that they can just leap into the air and fly. They're free to fly. No, they're free within the limits of their own biology, their own situation, their knowledge, their culture. And still, within this box, they're free. Just because you're contained within a box doesn't mean you're not free. Doesn't mean you can't expand the area of the box. And in the end, yes, I want to be responsible, but I also am responsible. And I don't like that people give up so much responsibility and try to blame things on other people did this, so I felt that, and I'm just human. It's not been my experience. My experience has been that I can take my ego around my mind, and I have another video with some graphs, so it's taking me a long time on a similar subject, transcending the ego. And it's a metaphor of the mind. The mind is a space of ideas, and the ego is within it, and it can move around to all the unconscious, well, maybe not all, but much of the unconscious territory. It can go ahead, go to those areas, and work on the ideas there. Help drive this wiring of the brain so that the next time the stimuli comes through, we react different than we reacted previously. And that's free will. I mean, it's fine if this gives you a good feeling. Maybe I already said this, but it gives you a good feeling about the past. I think I did say it. But what about the future? You're giving up the future when you give up willpower. You're giving up the future. Now, if you're just redefining will, then say that's what you're doing. If will is a matter of filters and not a matter of impelling force, well, okay. And I think you're talking about conscious will. You're not talking about the concept of having some sort of will that might be in our subconscious, because there could still be some other energy source. And the psychology I believe in goes exactly that way. I think there's energy sources in the mind. They're almost entirely, well, forget that. They are entirely unconscious. The will is running around trying to understand them. The thing is, it does sometimes understand them, and it does recognize patterns, and so it can work on its own wiring. And that's where we're also very different from a computer. Computers don't work on their own programming, but we do. One other thing I want to add to that is that in terms of will maybe being just filters, that's possible. I like that theory pretty well, but I call those inhibitions. I believe the inhibitions are the filter, and they're just a part of the will, not hardly the whole